So carrying on from the previous lecture, where we were talking about how you can integrate CSS into your HTML, I'm now going to expand on that slightly to show you not only how you can add background colors, but also how you can add it to different elements and how you can also change the color of your font and also of borders as well. So let's get started. I'm going to go straight from just empty files so that we can go through the whole process together and you can feel confident with creating your own from absolute scratch. So here we have a blank file. So first thing I'm going to do is go into my CSS practice and I'm going to call this file colors.html. And then I'm going to type HTML and then I'm going to select this and this completes all the important stuff for me. So now let's just test this out, make sure everything's working fine. This HTML is working. So now this is called colors.html. Let's just change that. Okay, so this HTML is working, perfect. So now let's try getting our CSS to work. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create the CSS file. So I'm going to give it the same name, colors, but instead of .html, I'm going to use .css. Fantastic. So we now have our colors.html and our colors.css. Now to test if the CSS is working, the best thing to do is, okay, right, we have a paragraph here. So let's try styling this paragraph. So I'm going to type P. So I'm going to say I want to style all of our paragraphs. I need to put these in the curly brackets. I'm going to press enter so it looks nice and it's more readable. And now I'm going to put into here what I want to style. Now if you remember, the last time we used something called background color. So I'm just going to use that again for ease. So background color, colon, and then I'm going to just go for blue. And I'm going to use a semicolon to say this line has ended, because eventually we're going to be writing out lots of things, like the background color, like for example, the font size, font family, all that kind of stuff. And it's best to separate them by semicolons. So now I've created my CSS file, I've created my HTML file, and now I just need to tell the HTML file where I can find the CSS file. So in the head, I'm going to write in link, because that's the way to link the HTML file to the CSS file. I'm just going to give the href colors.css. So now if everything's working correctly, I can refresh this page. As you can see, the background is now blue. So we can do this with our paragraphs. Why don't we try doing it with a few other things? Let's go for creating a header. I'm going to call this colors page. And what else could we do? Let's create a ordered list. And within this ordered list, I'm going to create a few list items. I'm going to go for 3 and just write my favorite color, second favorite color. As you can see, I spell color a bit differently. This is how we spell it in the UK. And then third favorite color. Okay, so we've got a few things to style here. So first of all, we've already styled the paragraphs. Let's try styling the header. So I really hope that you're also scripting along with me, so you're writing this out as well. If not, just feel free to pause the lecture and just create your own HTML with a paragraph and a header. And let's see if you can also try and style your H1 without any of my help. So try pausing the video here and do it yourself. So if you've done that correctly, let's just take a look. So I've already said I want to style the paragraph this way. And now, so keep in mind you don't have to put a semicolon after the curly brace. It's just within the curly braces. You need to do that. I'm going to put H1 because I want to style all of my H1s. Then in the curly brackets, I'm going to put it in the exact same thing. Background color, colon, and then let's make this green. And refresh the page. And there we go. Now we have a green background. Now, we want to style our ordered list. So try pausing the video and give it a try yourself. So here we go, OL, and then we're going to have the curly braces, and then I'm going to say, let's go for a background color of pink again. Okay, save that. When I refresh, there we go, we have a nice background color. Perfect. Now, what we can't do yet is we have all these different list items, but we can't think of a way with the tools that we know on how we could, so for example, if I just change this to LI for being a list item, you'll see that each of the list items has the background color, but the overall list doesn't. But we don't know yet of a way that I could style these three differently, because they're all list items, and this is just generically saying for all of the list items, let's make it pink. So we'll be going on to that in a future lecture. But for now, let's look into a few other things. So we've gone into how we can do a background color. We can also, just so you know, we can also make the body a background color. So let's go for orange. Oops, sorry, background color. So we'll put the background color as orange. Now if I refresh this page, boom, we have a full background color. So we're really starting to get rolling now. Now let's look at how we could change the color of the actual text. Well, this is actually very easy, and I'm going to do it on the H1 just so you can see it better. Instead of background color, all we have to do is put color. That's all we have to do. So because that's green, let's do this blue so it stands out. It doesn't look too bad. And there, as you can see, the font now looks blue. So try pausing this now and changing the, let's say, the color of the lists, so of the actual font in here. Okay, so I hope that went well. Now I'm just going to put in here color, and let's put that as red. There we go, now it's all changed. Fantastic. And so finally, I'm just going to show you, you can see that each of these elements, they actually have a border. So the border is just the outside of the element, you know, what goes along the outside of it. So what we can do for this, not only do we specify the color of the border, but we also say how thick we want it to be and what style we want it to be in. So whether we want it to be solid or dotted or stuff like that. So I'll show you. So let's go for, in the list, I'm going to go for border. And in here we can define the color, the size, and the style of it. So first of all, I'm going to say the size. I'm going to say this in pixels, because that's a good way to define it. Pixels are a way of defining the thickness of these things. So, and I'm going to have it solid, and I'm going to go for blue. So I'm going to save that. And there you can see we have some nice borders around each of the list elements. If I change this to ordered list, there would no longer be borders around each of the items, it would be a border around the whole thing. So let's say I change this to 30, you're going to see a very thick border. And change that from solids to dotted. As you can see, we now have dots as the border. I mean, there are loads of different styles you can do. You're pretty much always going to be wanting to use solid. Let's just change that to green, just for funsies. And there you go. So what we've gone over in this lecture is how we've revisited how you can connect your HTML to the CSS using the link tag, just here, defining the CSS file here. And then in here we've gone over how you can add a background color, how you can add color to your text, and how you can create borders with different colors. So using the size, using pixels, px, the style, and then the color. So what I recommend you have a go at now is create your own web page that includes a background color for the whole body, and maybe a paragraph and a header with different colors for the lettering, and then try and create some borders as well. So best of luck, and then I'll see you in the next lecture.